In this video, I'm going to talk about the three major pillars in building muscle, which happen to be sleep, training, and nutrition. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to go from number 3 first. So I like to put sleep as number 3. So with sleep, obviously, without getting enough of it, you're not going to be able to grow because you're not going to be able to repair any tissue. I think that a lot of people overlook the value of sleeping. And, being a younger guy or just being busy with work, even if you're a little bit older, you tend to focus on, living during the day and not getting in enough sleep. But you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. And it's really, really important that you get enough sleep. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to actually repair the tissue that you've torn throughout your workouts during the day. So again, very, very important that you get your sleep. A few tips that I can give you to have better sleeps essentially is just get yourself on a sleep schedule. Try to limit yourself from staying awake, whether you're playing video games or maybe you're just working late, whatever the case is. Maybe you're scrolling through your phone or something. My suggestion is to focus on getting yourself into a schedule and then following that schedule. So if that's going to bed at 9 o'clock, no cell phones, no TV, no nothing, maybe read a book for half an hour and then put yourself to sleep. It's really important that you get your sleep in, otherwise you're not going to be able to grow. So one of the three pillars is definitely getting in enough sleep, okay? The next one is training. So, a lot of people think that they're training very, very well, but just because you go to the gym and you're moving weight and you think, I'm getting a burn, I'm feeling exhausted by the end of the session, that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting in the best workout possible. A lot of the times people go into the gym and they focus too much on the amount of weight that they're lifting versus how they lift the weight. So is it important to lift heavy weight? Well, yeah, you have to challenge yourself, but you don't necessarily have to focus on the number more than anything else. Of course, the more you lift, the stronger you get, the bigger you get. But in most cases, you actually you're risking getting hurt just so that you could get bigger numbers in for your lifts. And in my experience, I found that it's not necessarily the most important thing. Numbers, they matter, but they shouldn't be the only thing, or they shouldn't be your biggest focus. The biggest focus really should be how you move the weight, not how much weight you're moving. So if I'm going to give you any tip when it comes to training, it's going to be slow it down. I want you to slow down your reps. I don't want you to focus so much on the number of weight that you're moving. So as an example, I'll use bench press. So if you're hopping under the bench and you weigh 145 pounds and you're hoping to get 2 plates on your bench press, in a couple of months or whatever the case is, but you're going for singles, well, from experience, I feel like you're going to get more bang for your buck and you're going to get more results from the time that you put in if you move slower and lift a little bit less. Again, the weight needs to be present, but it's not the most important aspect of growing. So you have to move properly and slowly. Okay, so make sure you get that mind-muscle connection, because if you don't get that, your development's kind of going to be crappy anyway, and you might build some tissue, but you're not going to build that nice pelican chest that I assume you want, which is what I wanted when I started. Okay, so that's with training. Not very difficult. I think that once you start slowing things down, you can actually achieve a lot more, and you'll notice how much more sore you get from training properly versus focusing so much on the number that you lift. Okay, so that's my tip for training. The next is food. With your food, I personally think that food is number 1. I understand that sleep is important and you need it in order to grow. I also understand that without training, you're not going to grow nearly as fast as if you input some real high quality training. However, I feel that without the calories, it doesn't matter how much work you do, it doesn't matter how much you sleep, it doesn't matter how hard you train, if you're not getting in the right amount of energy to build the tissue, you're never going to build the tissue. I think it's very important to get your calories in, but also focus on the macronutrients. So it's not just about calories, which is kind of what people make it seem. You know, you might have some friends who are in the same position as you. They're a bit slimmer and they're trying to gain weight. And they tell you, I'm going to go into a dirty bulk. You know, that could work. But the chances of you gaining unnecessary body fat is a lot higher than if you were to just keep it clean and stay in a surplus, just not go into a 2,000 calorie surplus and end up gaining 15 extra pounds, 20, 30 extra pounds of body fat that you're going to have to get rid of in the end anyway. So ideally, in the most ideal situation, you would grow lean the entire time. Of course, you might put on a few pounds of body fat, no big deal. In your scenario, it's likely that you're going to be able to get rid of it fast anyway. So keep that in mind. I personally think, from experience with myself and with clients that I've worked with, growing leaner tends to keep the individual a little bit happier because you don't have to deal with maybe some insecurity issues that you might have, which I personally had that whenever I try to gain weight. If I get to a point where I'm eating too much and I start to notice a little bit more body fat, I get hard on myself. I have clients who do the exact same thing. So it's not uncommon, but I think that once you get a handle on the nutrition, once you know what your surplus is without going into overdrive essentially and gaining too much body fat, then you'll be able to make the progress that you want without having to work even harder in the end just to look and feel the way you want to look and feel, right? So that's the information that I have with food. I think food again is the most important aspect of all the three pillars that I spoke about. So you got your sleep, your training, and then the food, which is why I'm going to make another video talking about pretty much just food and how you could eat so that you could gain the muscle that you want to eat. Okay, so if you're interested in that video, stay tuned, and I'm going to be posting that pretty soon. Okay, thanks for watching.